All right, Tom, we are live. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
I'm
man.
Scott.
I'm Tom. Tom.
Tom,
Hello.
I'm in Tampa. Tom's in New York. We are here with the December Outturn preview tasting.
Yeah.
It's odd we are doing this on a Tuesday night, but everyone was busy last night with in-person tastings on the Monday night.
Busy
So,
time of year, man. Yeah, we do
yeah,
what we can.
yep. But yeah, so normally Monday. So tonight, though, and even with some of the lottery releases, though, we've done them, the night of the release and had just as much, interest in it as doing them the night before. So anyway, tonight we are looking at the same 6 bottles that we hosted at the in-person events. Last night across the state, I hosted the Tampa tasting last night. There was really good feedback on all 6 of these whiskeys. I was telling Tom sometimes one maybe it's hit or miss with most of the crowd, but really all 6 of these bottles last night there was interest in from members that were there that were really enjoying them. So
Yeah. We had a great response in New York as well, and I was in touch with the guys in other cities in like Denver and Oakland, DC, Boston, where we did events on Sunday, and yeah, we certainly want every Outturn preview tasting to be awesome. But I think maybe once you get to the end of the year, like, November and December, maybe we try a little harder. I don't know. But there's a lot of good stuff in here. And, I intentionally kept the Outturn a little more succinct so we could focus in on these really nice whiskeys. So only 7 whiskeys were released today, which is a lower number than normal. But man, every one of them is just, as the Brits would say, a banger. So really good stuff. Really, really, really fun stuff. So yeah.
all right.
And what are these guys drinking? Somebody's drinking something out there.
Quick shout out to those tuning in and commenting. Mamuka is here. Duke McHale. Louis Velez is here. Just talked to Louis on the phone today. Ordered a couple bottles. Christine Daisy is here. Kim, KLG223, T. Roy, LaCurious George, and Stephen Rogers. Howdy, everybody.
LaCurious George. I like that one. That's a good one.
Oh, Stephen Rogers is drinking hints of Matchbox. I remember that was a Glen Murray. Or a 35, I guess I should say. Anyway.
Glen Murray or a 35 with Matchbox. I guess that's in European sherry oak, I would imagine.
It was sherried. I don't remember what it was in, but. Curious George was at a tasting last night. He agrees. All 6 bottles were fantastic. All right. Well, I think without further ado, I'm running amok. We'll get into
you and you.
First one, let me get the banner up here as well. This is a 20-year.
It's always interesting. Sorry, go ahead. Let you finish your roll call here.
No, I was going to do the intro on the bottle, but go ahead with what's interesting.
Well, I was just going to say it's always interesting to kick off a 6 whiskey tasting with a 20-year-old whiskey. Yeah. I don't know if people are like set up to think that they're getting something that's maybe younger or simpler, but when we construct the tasting order, it's based largely on barrel protocol, and ex-bourbon should always go before like designer type casks or weird, wild and wonderful things, and then those should go before sherry, and all that should go before peated, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people, when we were doing Guess That Dram, were like, oh, it's 8, maybe 10 years old, and there were a few people who were like, oh, no, it's much older. But it was funny to kind of gauge everyone's reactions when you throw down a 20-year-old on the table to kick things off
for the first one. Yeah. I think the consensus at my tasting was this was 12 to 15 years old, but I think it's like the same thing. They're thinking, okay, this is a lighter. It's going to be a younger dram. But still, they still bumped it up to that 12 to 15 range with probably
56% too. I mean, it's 50, almost 57%.
Yeah.
So, that's still some pretty good heat for something that old. But then again, we've seen vaults collections that are in the mid 50s. So
this one, though, this has really started to turn into just really a glorious dram. I mean, this is getting into, it's starting to turn into those tropical notes and just really fruity, floral, sweet, a great palate on it.
Yeah. You know, this distillery, I've always enjoyed it. I always thought it was very pleasant. And I think maybe I tried younger ones to begin with, like the 3 Wood and things like that,
Yeah.
from official bottlings, then younger expressions from the society. What really put it on my radar was in 2023 for the festivals. That festival bottling of Distillery 5 was just incredible. And ever since then, the same texture, like that amazing pop of tropical fruitiness.
Right. Yeah.
With this one, the oak makes itself known as well. That's a pretty dark color for ex-bourbon. I mean, you can have all different, variations of shade of, from light gold to hay and even lighter. But man, this thing is certainly well colored.
Yeah.
For first fill ex-bourbon.
Yeah. 20 years in it, nice cask influence.
Oh,
and first fill ex-bourbon as well. But
really, the nose just like leaps. It leaps out of the glass, man. It's consistently good stuff. I forget what the outturn is of this. I feel like it's not that high. Maybe is it 60 bottles? I don't know, but
let me see. Where's my shortest?
So you get the tropical, and then you get some earthiness and stuff. So you have this clash of tastes. I think there's that kind of tropical, that tropicality, if you will, but also the kind of earthier, damp soil, putty like vibe going on for some really nice complexity.
Yeah, there's like 60 of them in the States.
60, okay.
But yeah, just not.
That's
and
pretty good. I mean, it's pretty standard.
Juicy oak and vanilla, perfect on the nose for this one.
Yeah.
More tropical juicy oak, or more tropical juicy vanilla oak, citrusy. So I'm gonna get on. I'm
cheers, man. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's a mouthful. She packs a pretty good punch there.
Yeah,
I feel like just a touch of water could benefit.
It did. I noticed last night. I haven't had water yet, but neat. But yeah, water to me really brought out almost more floralness, more fruitiness, more sweet, and then those tropical notes start to shine. Yeah. I think the 17, 18 year to 20 year mark on Distillery 5 is really where it starts to shine in the ex-bourbon cask, and those tropical notes will start to kick in, and it just becomes marvelous.
Yeah, 3 times distilled always, which is the mark of Auchentoshan Distillery 5. Trivia question. First person to answer this correctly will get a $25 gift card. Auchentoshan is one of 2 distilleries currently exclusively distilling 3 times. What is the other distillery? Go.
Scotch Distillery.
Scotch Distillery.
And this will have to be
in Scotland.
This will have to be according to our servers here and how it bounces. Sometimes we do have some fluctuation, but the first person to get that one right,
A.B. Scott.
A.B. Scott with Rosebank.
Rosebank. Very good.
I don't have a pen to write that down. Oh wait, yeah, I do. I can.
You got it. Well done, A.B. Scott. It is indeed Rosebank. We'll dream up some other fun trivia as we go along.
Now, I'm not sure that I know the full. I'm not sure I know the full name of A.B. Scott. I think I do. Shoot me an email though at scott@smwsa for that. Scott@smwsa, and I'll make sure I get it to the right member.
Yeah, just a little bit of water takes a bit of the heat off on the palate, and That is a really lovely, well textured dram. Really nice mouthfeel.
This is, I pointed out last night too. This is one that you'd want to have, with a cheeseburger with a big slab of onion on it. Anything that's going to wreck the palate. This is one that you want to have, with later in the night when you haven't had those strong flavors to eat. Have this on a clean, fresh palate and enjoy, that 20 years in that first fill ex bourbon barrel. So,
all right. So you don't want this with a burger with a big piece of onion.
Right. Yeah. Don't.
Okay.
Don't.
All right. I got confused there. I thought you were
saw your
paired.
eyes at first.
I was like, wow, man.
No,
that's a pretty intense pair.
No.
Yeah.
Enjoy this one. This is that end of the night dram, or it's quiet and you're sitting down with your book, whatever, in the quiet nighttime. It's just you sit down, enjoy the palate on this one, dissect it. It'll take some time. It's a beautiful whiskey, 20 years, just an excellent dram.
I might start this off. Like I might kick off like a, maybe I'm starting to get dinner ready or something and just pour a nice dram to kind of get the evening going.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, drink while you're cooking.
Anyway, in any case, however you choose to enjoy it, it's really nice to see another one of these 20-year-old number 5s. We have had a few released, but sadly, like most things, they don't last forever. And also, it's really cool to see a delicious first fill ex bourbon. These days, we're seeing a lot more secondary maturations and a lot of sherry. Beautiful stuff. But, it's cool to kind of return to a straightforward and absolutely delicious bourbon barrel.
So part of 2024 with the SMWS that the UK enacted and brought in was increasing, the sherry cask whiskeys. And we went from, about a 33% release rate up to, they doubled it to 60-some% release rate of sherry influenced whiskeys or wine cask influenced whiskeys. Is that still the course for 2025? Or do have they said, are we kind of?
Yeah, we're not shying away from it for sure.
Yeah.
There's going to be, we've invested heavily in sherry and we're going to see a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
it's popular. So
we're going to start hopefully seeing some more drier expressions of sherry cask coming through, like Palo Cortados and Manzanillas and Amontillados and things like that, hopefully. But certainly plenty of the PX and Oloroso.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's look at I always look at the tasting notes on the bottle.
Oh, please, yeah.
Got to get my glasses out for this one. A cask 5.124, a clash of tastes. Caramel-filled chocolate is followed by vanilla and gentle tannins, as well as peach Melba French toast with custard cream and raspberry puree. Spot on.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 2. So we're
number 2.
We didn't discuss the order of these, Scott.
But I went with the order from the tasting.
Okay, I do want to switch one thing just because we can.
Yeah,
I want to switch 4 and 5. I want to switch those up.
I switched 3 and 5 in my tasting.
You did. Okay.
Yeah,
3 and 5. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I bumped 5 up just a little bit more, but yeah.
All right.
5 is a little bit more delicate, but yeah. So you want to go to 3 next? 135?
Yeah. Wait, no. What was second? Was it the 39?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No. The 39 is good.
Okay.
That's cool.
Stick with 2.
Stick with that. I'm talking about 4 and 5. So the next 2, I want to do the Craig Alecky before the Ben Nevis.
Okay. Well, we'll still have the
spoiler alert.
And then the 135.
I mean, the whole thing's been released, so it's all good. What's that?
The 135 is in there yet too.
Is number 3? Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So yeah, this was blind. I don't think I would ever guess Linkwood or Distillery 39 on this one. It is so much different than I think what we're used to seeing from this distillery. Decadence, a 17-year-old, Decadence is underrated. Deep rich and dried fruits. Speyside, of course. Double maturation. Ex-bourbon hogshead, and then a first fill number 4 plus charred hogshead. So think alligator char, plus 57.6% ABV.
Ooh.
The number 4 char was on the nose all over for me on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, you just get a oak blast. Oh yeah, and it's still a dusty oak.
Yeah, and there's something almost kind of cooling to that nose, right? Almost like a slightly mentholic aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool stuff. But you're right, I would never guess. This is one of those situations where you take a distillate and you shellac it with with a secondary maturation. And I mean, it's really fun, it's delicious, complex, like really lively whiskey. But you would never guess it's 39.
Oh no, I know.
Because it's known for such delicacy.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And I was telling folks last night that if you happen to have a 39 that's from maybe a refill or second fill ex-bourbon, even a first fill ex-bourbon.
Yeah.
A side by side of these two whiskeys could be really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was one, I mean, we had people favoring each one last night, but this one was there were several people where this was their favorite of the night.
You know what? I never picked it. It's kind of like a mint tea. Like if you were to like brew a mint tea and let it go for like 5 minutes. Are you picking up on that at all?
Yeah, I can see it like a black tea.
Drinking too much mint tea.
No, I can see it definitely. Yep.
But it's like a lot of tannin, a lot of tannin all over this whiskey. So yeah, if you like tannin in your whiskey, if you like to chew on it a little bit, this is an awesome one.
And one table last night at my tasting even called it out. They're like, this is very bourbon-esque. There's just a lot of bourbon notes in this one. And that number 4 heavy char is going to do that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of like dark chocolatey notes going on in here. Very dark.
Chocolatey caramels. I mean, even think of your bourbon notes: brown sugars, oak, heavy oak, char, yeah, toasted. All those notes are toasted, burnt toast. I would even how about a little bit of a burnt toast on there. So now, your hogsheads. You can get some sherry staves in, or sometimes you get a sherry stave. I'm not really getting necessarily any sherry notes with this one. I think this was an ex-bourbon hogshead that was just retoasted or recharred, So it's bringing out just so many of those that were almost first use type of bourbon or whiskey oak notes.
But it's also touching on kind of like toasted hazelnuts. Like a very nutty kind of character to it. That one, again, in a blind tasting, would you guess something other than sherry for this? I mean, I would likely go sherry on this.
I think, I think I would. I mean,
I'd probably be thrown off by the color more than anything. I'd be staring at this and saying, "This has got to be,
This has got to be sherry," but I'm really not getting that much of sherry notes on the palate. So yeah, it would be a little confusing based on that. But yeah, it's just very intriguing.
You don't get the unctuous part of a sherry profile, but you do get the nuttiness, and there's plenty of kind of dried fruits, dried like golden raisin, that kind of thing going on.
Cinnamon toast. Maybe
cinnamon toast crunch, one of my favorite cereals.
Yeah, cinnamon toast crunch. I put a drop of water on here.
Yeah.
Look, ooh, man, some water. Well, that opened that up. Makes it a little bit more penetrating, actually, right into the taste buds. That's soaking in. The finishes will staying around a little bit longer with water on that too. But yeah, the Curious George is saying the mouthfeel was very impressive on this one for sure.
He actually that was in reference to the first one, to the Oakentosh.
Oh, was that the first one?
Yeah. Well, the mouthfeel here is extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much silky texture, more like, tannic richness, oaky richness here. It's got a lot of wood.
It's got some black cherry. Didn't get that last night. Yeah,
sure.
But it didn't help it into that deep, rich, and dried fruits profile. So,
yeah. Someone asked how many non-sherry whiskeys make it into a deep, rich, and dried fruit profile, and honestly, there aren't many.
Not many.
I think a lot more sherried whiskeys make it into other profiles, like spicy and sweet, spicy and dry. For the most part, those two are big ones. But yeah, not too many non-sherried whiskeys make it into deep, rich, and dried fruits.
I think we've seen maybe one or two even sweet, fruity, and mellows, or even juicy oak and vanillas with a slight
sweet, fruity, and mellow we've seen. Yeah,
but
that 39. So 3H Hemp says 39 is one of my favorite space sides. If you if you're up for a fun exploration of 39, this is a side of it I don't think I've ever seen before.
Right.
So
yeah, that's
pretty cool.
But I would say go into it expecting a different, Linkwood, different than what you're used to.
Yeah, for sure.
If you go into this and you're thinking you're going to get that typical, profile, hopefully it's still good for you.
Well, that's why the tasting panel does their thing. They lay it all down for us. So
that's right. Those dedicated individuals.
Yeah. Well, they get to drink 10 samples every week. Get paid for it. Nice gig. Almost, we've got a pretty good gig too, though, don't we?
Yeah. We can't complain, can we? Cask number 39.281. Decadence is underrated. Bread and butter pudding meets a stout made using spruce tips. Dilution adds blackberry crumble, custard, and a smooth intensity. Yep. So like the spruce tips, that's going to be the menthol that you were really getting there at first. Yep. And then the dilution blackberry crumble, I was just getting like a black cherry on it. So yeah, getting right in there.
All right. Oh, okay.
Okay, now and then three is still in the same place for you.
Yep, it is. Yeah, so the 135. Right.
So yep. This one might have been my favorite of the night.
I thought this was extremely impressive.
Yes.
I have a really soft spot for a future distillery. This one came in a very close second for me. Very close.
Welcome
to the dark side.
135.56.
This is not the dirt if you're looking for.
This is the dirt if you're looking for.
This might be the dirt if you're looking for, actually, yeah.
16 years old, ex-bourbon hogshead, and then first fill HTMC hogshead, heavily toasted, medium charred. This one, sherried for sure. If you're looking for sherry notes on the prior one, on the Linkwood, they are definitely this. Well, actually, I was going through the tasting, and I'm telling you,
this one's more prevalent for sure.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, I'm like, oh, this one was a double. I'd forgot, and I'm just going through and I'm tasting it with people. And I'm like, oh yeah, this one is Oloroso. This one, and I'm going table to table.
Nice.
And then I get done, and I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, well, it probably is a sherry hogshead, but we've got a heavily toasted medium charred.
You think so?
You
think they do a heavily toast medium char on a sherry hogshead, huh?
I think they, well, my personal opinion, yeah. I can't see where are we at. There we go.
There you are. Yeah, you're good.
Wait, I always go the wrong way. About what you'd expect here on the 16-year-old. So Yeah.
There's just so much like kind of like gooey toffee caramel. Like that's a really like luscious nose.
Oh yeah, earthy though too.
That's really, really good.
Nice earthiness coming through.
Yeah.
One note I'm going to get on this after the tasting last night is a strawberry rhubarb. There's a nice earthiness almost with this one that I didn't expect.
Mm.
Mm.
Good call on the strawberry rhubarb. Wow.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good, man. These guys are like, have just been like, whether it's the 135s, the Loch Lomans, or the Inchmirrans, the 112s, man, they're so good. Like, and ours are so good. I need to try more of the official bottlings because I wonder if they stack up. I mean, maybe somebody on the stream can fill me in because, quite frankly, I've been lost in society land here. But man, they've just been the quality of what they've been putting out the last 10 years is just completely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have their own on-site cooperage. So the quality, their cast quality has probably gone up very, very high after, several rounds of investment and ownership change.
Well, and I don't think, let me kind of scan back through this year's releases. I think this is the first, and I'm HTMC Hogshead here, deep, rich, and dried fruits. I don't know if we've had a sherry or another deep, rich, and dried fruit distillery 135. Any come to mind that you can think of?
Deep, rich, and dried fruit 135?
Yeah, I'm going to scan this year and see.
No, nothing that pops out at me. We've had a couple of 112s. We've had some peated 135s.
Yeah.
We've had
nope. This is
the 122s. I don't think so. No, this might be the first from 135.
Yeah. This year anyway, this is the first deep, rich, and dried fruits that we've released.
And just about all of them are ex-bourbon, like just straight up ex-bourbon.
Yeah, right.
135s. Right.
Yeah,
and beautiful out of that kind of cask.
The fact is that this was the first 135 that popped up this year. Maybe earlier in the year in January there might have been one, but I think this was the only one in the year. Yeah, gorgeous palate on this one. Fruity. To me, I'm saying sherry just because I'm getting a lot more of the fruits, the sweet fruits on this one, even the dark, rich fruits.
It's funny, like I'm not getting as much of the dried type stuff that I got on the previous one. I'm getting a lot more. I'm getting the richness. I'm getting the depth, but it's more like confection and, as you mentioned, like pies and things like that. Like baked goods and like bakery type stuff.
Yeah. Almost like a blueberry pie.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's very, very good stuff. And a really interesting distillery that's like essentially a Swiss Army knife of distilling. They have so many different ways to make whiskey. And I think we take advantage of just about every single one of them. You got 112, 122, 135, G9, and G15. All of those under the same roof. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a sleeper distiller. I think it's one of those, if you know, you know. But they've been pretty popular releases on our side as well.
If I may call out my buddy Alex Bianco in New York, he is a huge fan of the 112s and the 135s. Last night, as soon as he stuck his nose in that glass, he was like, "Yep, I know what that is. Like that's his thing. That's his go-to." And he knew immediately. And he's like all over these things. So they certainly have their fans. And these days, they have a bit of a checkered past, but the last several years have just been dynamite.
I'll throw a little tobacco and a little leather on this one as well. Just comes off a little bit older. Yeah, I'll stick with what I think is a sherry hogshead influence on that, but yeah, gorgeous and meaty.
We'll have to ask Ewan about that. I don't know how many sherry casks they're doing a heavy toast medium char to. I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, that would be good to know. Yeah.
The aftertaste. I'm just sitting here like chewing on nothing and getting all these different flavors. Like it's a really, really good finish.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Linkwood before, I mean, just was more.
Damn, I gotta take another sip of that.
More char, more those kind of bourbon-esque flavors with some of the dark fruits for me. This one though, the dark fruits to me, what I would say is more of the sherry influence showing in those dark fruits.
But you're gonna die on the sherry hill, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a lot of the notes that I'm getting, and just even on the first sip, it makes me think. It makes me think when you take a sip, if this was blind, you would think this was an Oloroso cask, I think.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, blind. I mean, how good are you tasting whiskey blind? Tasting single cask whiskey blind? It's not easy work, man.
I put myself at like a 30% success rate, maybe.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Blind. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably on a good day. That's optimistic. Water really opened it up, made it brought out a little bit more of the sweetness with it. More of the berries and the dark fruits.
I'd say if you're comparing those two in the designer casks, the 39 would be more like an iron fist, and the 135 would be the silk glove. That kind of juxtaposition.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good. All right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
First half done and dusted. Here we are flying through it.
Welcome to the dark side. Cask 135.56. Dark, spicy, and inviting. With heady fruit notes, a superbly engaging mouthfeel, and a singular take on this particular flavor profile. All right, not too many tasting notes on that one.
All right.
And now you're going
to next.
You want to go to number 5, all right?
Yeah, I want to go to the 44. 173, my big fat Speyside wedding.
So just talking ages though, we started off with a 20-year-old, we went to a 17-year-old, and then a 16-year-old. Yeah. And then this 20-year-old.
I love this distillery. I love it.
I do too. Yeah.
Of course we love all of our children, don't we, Scott? But man, this kid is really good at sports or something. Whatever's important to you, like oh shit, this is good. Bruce thought 135 was more peated. There are peated expressions from 135, but the majority of the 135s, that is the Loch Lomans, are unpeated. The vast majority. All those, the 112s, it's either Inchmurren or Inchmoan. The 122s, it's either, if it's peated, it's Crofton JF. If it's unpeated, it's Glen Douglas. And then the G15s, the Rosdu, can be peated or unpeated as well. But the vast majority, unpeated.
I love the name on this one, my big fat Speyside wedding. I led off with that one with the tasting last night. I let everybody know right up front the name of that one.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Salty, meaty.
Oh, man. That nose is fantastic. So now we're into sherry. We're squarely into sherry. And man, just that synthesis of the worm tub distillate, it's like big, rich, like massive distillate, just wrapped up in a beautiful sherry package. Man, it's good shit. That's really good.
It makes me start to salivate a little bit. Definitely a sherry on this one up front, but it's a meaty. I get like a meaty charcuterie board with that fig jam on the nose, salamis. dark fruits, caramel, creamy caramel.
Says it all.
This one was our first fill Oloroso as well, but
oh man, that's great stuff, man. That's great stuff.
This one it's a little bit finer sherry influence. Don't expect this to be a sherry bomb. Even though it's a first fill Oloroso cask, it's not a big wallop in the face of sherry. This is a nice integration of Craigellachie distillate, and sherry influence.
It's a mouthful of whiskey, but it's not body slamming your palate with, as I've mentioned before, a shellacking of a flavor,
Yeah.
It does have a lot of nuance, but it's behind that kind of sulfuric intensity. But you're right. It's a lighter touch for sure.
So not sherry bomb. Now, a couple of months ago, we had another, 44 that was a second fill Oloroso, and it had even less influence. It was really like more Craigellachie distillate with just a hint of sherry. I love that one too. It was it was more delicate. You had to look a little bit harder for the sherry. There's more here. It's in between a sherry bomb and that other Craigellachie released a couple of months ago. If you had that one, and I don't remember which one that was, what it was called, but I loved it. It was gorgeous as well.
It was 44.175.
It was one of my staff picks for one of the months because it was really just so gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, this is lovely, lovely stuff. It was my favorite last night. We haven't gotten to the 78 yet, but damn, this is good. I had the opportunity to visit Craigellachie when we did our tour in October. And, not many people get to visit that distillery, so they don't do public tours or anything. So that was really, really special.
Peanut brittle with salted sea salt on it and caramel.
The saltiness is there, man. There's a lot of saltiness. And it's very Moorish, I guess they would call that. Moorish.
I think that's that worm tub influence that sometimes turns a little bit sulfury, with Craigellachie. I don't necessarily get any sulfur on this one, but I think that meatiness or that saltiness is the result that we're getting on this one.
I mean, yeah, the sulfuric elements can manifest in different ways, and the saltiness, I think, is certainly one of them. Just the heavier compounds, whether it's sulfur or something else.
It makes a heavier palate, a heavier, feeling.
Delightful. Absolutely delightful. That's really nice whiskey. Really nice.
Put a couple drops of water on it here just to see what happens.
And 3H Hemp, yeah, they do release the prime numbers. Actually, in their tasting room there, I had a 43-year-old, which was, or was it? No, it was 41. No, it was 43 years old. Oh man, wow, that's freaking gorgeous. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, ladies and gents, if you're going to grab one whiskey from this Outturn, I personally think that Craigellachie is it. That's just phenomenal whiskey. Really very good. How much is this? Is it
245?
245. Okay.
Water. I've got water on it. It's not real. It's not bringing out anything necessarily that I wasn't getting neat. But it's definitely, I mean, it's not hurting it at all. I can't even tell I've added water to it, and it was 2 pretty hefty drops of water that I put on it. Yeah. And it's still marching right along to the beat of its own drum.
Nice.
So, wow. Yeah, that one's up there.
Yeah, that's a really, really good whiskey.
Woo. Still tasting it. Great finish on that one. But now, like, I moved mine up because I'd tried it and it was a little bit finer before we moved to the next one, which is why you moved yours up as well. The next
Well,
one that we move into,
I switched it tonight because we could, right? Because we were tasting all the same whiskeys again. Last night, I did keep it in the original order, which was the one we're about to try. We tried before it, and I just stressed to everyone in the room, like, really drink some water, swish it around, like have a piece of food if you can, like, just to try and reset your palate, because I think there's something to be said. And again, we'll go back to ABVs. This was what, 54.
yeah,
There's something to be said for not just tasting order with relation to barrel protocol or ABV or whatever it might be, but kind of style, like just a style. And I feel like finishing off with something that has that kind of integration and that kind of complexity deserves to be kind of your last impression of the unpeated whiskeys. And so, that's why I tried it last night. It was a risk. I think it went fine, but anyway, we get to switch them here, and I think it's a very natural progression so far. Whatever, we're bloviating here. Let's move on.
44.173, My Big Fat Speyside Wedding, a superb marriage of this distillery's famously fat and weighty style with a lovely drape of richly earthy and nutty sherry flavor. Gorgeous. It says right there, gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Nice.
Don't let anybody tell you that's not a tasting note.
Well, you gotta, take some artistic license, I guess.
All right, and we're gonna move on to the youngest whiskey of the night. Nine-year-old, a double, 78.78. Easy to remember. Hearty and boisterous. 9-year-old. We've gone from a 20, 17, 16, 20 to a 9.
Niner?
Double
maturation. I got a niner in there?
The niner. Ex-bourbon hogshead, and then a first fill ex-Oloroso hogshead. 59.2% ABV, getting younger and higher in ABV. Color.
And longer in the secondary maturation. That's a year longer than any of the ones we've already tasted.
Yeah, this one was 5. That surprised me when I looked this
5 and 4.
5 and 4.
Yeah, that's impressive. If you want a sherry bomb, hello, here you go.
5 years in the ex-bourbon, 4 in the first fill Oloroso. Great color and influence from it, so it's a pretty active cast.
Oh yeah.
Now, Ben Nevis Distillery 78 is one of those, I tell people it's decisive. Some people love it, some people don't, just because it can produce a kind of a blind. A lot of times I would think of Ben Nevis as a Campbelltown whiskey because it can get kind of funky.
A little grubby.
Yeah. And so some people don't like that. I do. I love that characteristic in whiskeys. I don't get as much of that with this one that I do with some, Ben Nevis's.
Ben Nevi?
Ben Nevi? Ben Nevi would be the plural.
Yeah, I think so. Why not?
Like platypi?
Platypi. Nice. Platypuses? Platypi. Platypi it is. I'm getting blueberry pie, platypi. Yeah, it's kind of a hot nose for sure. It shows its ABV on the nose. I haven't added water to the last few whiskeys, but I will add water to this one. But the palate is actually, in spite of that kind of hot nose, it's really silky and integrated and round. It's very good.
Yeah. I jumped right in on the palate, forgot about the nose and notes, but no, this one, the name of this one is Fair, the hearty and boisterous. To me, this one is rich. It's full. It's a full palate here. This is the one that slaps you around a little bit, and then just as you shake it off, it slaps you again. just with the
Nice.
flavor, the fullness of this one.
Yeah.
I think it comes off as a much older whiskey too. I don't think you would think this was a 9-year-old whiskey, blind.
This actually is it's much better, this whiskey in this tasting order. Last night we tasted this right after the 135,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the members commented, "Is this a grain whiskey?" They thought we threw in a grain. It
Yeah,
just didn't. It hit people's palates in a different way, and probably didn't show it in its best light. Um, and it's we do the best we can, right? We're blowing through 6 whiskeys at a pretty quick pace, and that's really not the way you should explore whiskey, but it's the best
that's
we can
true.
do.
Yeah,
But wow, what a different what a different first impression, tasting it this way, because this is
yeah.
really impressive for sure.
And
A bit
Lucurious
of that
George
struck
says,
match. Bit of that.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Lucurious George is saying this blew me away that it was only 9 years old. It had to be one active Oloroso cask. Yeah, and I think that
Yeah.
comes through in the color as well, and really the influence on the whiskey. Blind, I would never think this was
Huh.
9 years old. So
Touch of that struck match on the nose.
one person at my event really got a sulfur on this one, and it just turned them off completely. Same as the Craig Ellicky Ben Nevis, that funkiness. Sometimes you get a little bit of the sulfur.
Yeah.
Maybe even the sherry cask has some of the sulfur in it, but I don't necessarily. I love sulfur. That what was it? 2 months ago, last month we had that Bunahaven that we had in the tasting. That was it. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Man, it was. I mean, it was like
The 10.271.
27 was it 271?
Yeah.
It was just oh man, it was peated, it was sherried, it was sulfur, it was meaty. I loved it. And really the people at my tasting were half and half on that one, because some people just don't like sulfur. Do you get I don't get a sulfur on this one. Like I say, one person did last night.
I get a very light touch, a very, very light touch on the nose. Like, and it's not, I wouldn't say sulfur. I would, that's a bit too strong. I think struck match is a good way to put it, because there's just that quick little hit of it, It's there. And I mean, honestly, with a Spanish oak Oloroso hogshead, it probably should be there, at least a little bit. Very rarely is it not on a first fill. So, but for those who are, I have one member in Seattle who's very much against a lot of types of sulfur. But something like this, even for someone who isn't a fan, it's an accent, it's such like a little whisper.
Yeah,
it's okay, but it provides a certain kind of complexity.
Right. But no, that's why I say with Ben Nevis, it's one of those, some people love it, some people don't. I think that's probably the most decisive part of it, is that funkiness that can come with some of their and we've had some pretty funky releases from, Ben Nevis. This one to me isn't one of the more funky Ben Nevises. I think it's toned down here. Maybe that sherry cask toned down some of the funkiness, but
man, we've released a lot of Ben Nevis over the last few years, because boy, I think the first one that I saw was like 78.12.
Oh, really?
It was like right before COVID.
Wow.
A year before COVID.
Yeah.
So we've gotten hopped on the good foot and done the bad thing with these guys, huh? And that's great. I mean, it's an awesome distillery, and I think we're very lucky to have so much volume from them, because a lot of it just doesn't make it out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those distilleries too that, I mean, there's a couple of releases out there. There's the McDonald's release of the Ben Nevis. I think maybe there's one other release, like that's an OB, or that you can go into some liquor stores and find.
Oh yeah, the Ingle Red. If you find the Ingle Red? Oh man, yeah. Ingle Red. It was an 18-year that I bought for $170.
Oh wow,
that's a deal, man.
Yeah,
that's a nice deal. But yeah, so they're out there for sure.
No, there's the McDonald's, and then there's just a Ben Nevis 10, and I think maybe a Ben Nevis 10 cask strength that's out there. But other than that, you don't find outside of independent bottlers, you just don't find too many bottles of Ben Nevis.
Yeah.
That's one of those that I think we're lucky to get, and I love them. I love Ben Nevis. I think we get some great casks from them.
Agreed. All right, you want to read us your tasting note?
Water on that one, making it a little bit sweeter, bringing out a little bit more of the fruitiness. Other than that, everything about the same. Still nice leather and pipe tobacco with it, really juicy. 78.78. 78, easy to remember. Hearty and boisterous. Roasted Brussels sprouts and oxtail soup are served with a venison steak in a sweet sauce and raspberry vinegar drizzled over Yorkshire pudding. That's pretty accurate. I mean, that's that meatiness, salty, charcuterie board, meats and
I'm picking up like a nice bloody piece of venison now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can get roasted Brussels sprouts with a little bit of balsamic vinegar on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
It's nice.
It's nice. All right.
We bring back Borat here. Five whiskeys into it.
And number 6, our peated whiskey. First and only peated whiskey of the night. 108.6. Is it 6.4? Yep.
Yeah.
The Chef's Special.
Yeah.
So 10-year-old Speyside peated whiskey.
I'll tell you, man, I have been really enjoying Speyside peated whiskey. Like Speyside peat. Like it's at first it was novel, and now I'm realizing, like, wait a second, I actually really like this stuff,
Yeah.
But
we don't see too many Speyside peated whiskeys, either.
Right.
But and for is this one first fill or second fill? Second fill ex bourbon. 10-year-old. Look at nice light color, light influence here from the cask. And we're going to get a pretty good look at the distillate on this one.
Yeah, I think we all agree that second fill is a really nice sweet spot to get that distillate and a nice balance of a cask influence.
A sweet
really nice.
peat.
Yeah, sweet peat. It's got a little hint of like kind of ashy, like campfire that just got put out.
It's not
there's some wintergreen and actually a lot of wintergreen now that I think about it.
There's not a lot of peat slapping you in the face here. It's really a nice balance of peat and just a sweet citrusy vanilla, powdered sugar.
Yes, yeah, that kind of marshmallowy vanilla.
Oh yeah, marshmallow cream, smoked marshmallow cream.
Yeah,
not that.
It's just. But there are some hints of like camphor, that kind of medicinal type thing.
Right. Yeah.
just a touch. Yeah. 108. Altabane or Altavania, if you want to say it like the Gaelics, is a young distillery. It's 70s. It was. Or maybe it was 1969, 72, something like that. Built by Seagrams to fulfill blending needs. And then subsequently, I think, shut down for a while, reopened. And now you still see it a lot in blends, but a small amount coming out to independent bottlers, and they do have some official bottlings.
I've heard of Altabon and Altavon, where the BH, like in Bunnahabhain, becomes the V, the Altavon.
V, yeah. Pip Hills, the founder of the society, he put together this CD called "The Sounds of Whiskey," this album essentially, where he had two guests. He had this Englishman who was maybe a bar owner or something like that, and then he had a scholar who was he was specializing in the Gaelic history and the Gaelic language. So he would have the Englishman say the name of the distillery the way that he thought it was, like Glengarioch, for instance,
Yeah.
or Altabane or something like that, and then he'd go to the scholar from, I think it was Edinburgh University, and he would say, oh well, you'd break down the etymology of the word and tell you how to pronounce it in in true Scots Gaelic. So oftentimes they were pretty different, and a lot of times it's like which syllable to stress, So like in the U.S. we say Ardbeg or Glenmorangie, Glenmorangie. I gotta like unlearn, Glenmorangie, things like that. But it's in Scotland it would be Glenmorangie or Ardbeg. It's like kind of stressing the second syllable.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, Sounds of Whiskey is an interesting look at how these different distilleries break down, the names break down as far as etymology and where they're coming from.
All right, let's get it on palate on this one.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm.
A lot more of that toasted marshmallow.
Woo. Woo. Hottest one of the night.
What is this?
62.7. I want to say, yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's okay. Yep.
It's showing. Woo.
Mm-hmm. She's a mouthful.
Roasted.
Yeah.
I really got a roasted peanut cream, marshmallow cream.
Woo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Dang, man. Holy moly.
There's more peat showing than I remembered from last night. Because I kind of thought, okay, maybe this one should be lightly peated. No, this one is in the right category with peated. But I mean, this is a great look, like we said, at the distillate here, because that second fill ex bourbon barrel, light influence here, other than just some light oaks, but you're getting so much citrus and vanillas and peat.
Well, it's a pretty light distillate. I mean, it's meant for kind of the more fruity floral aspect of a blend. So you don't have that meatiness that you might get from a Kergaliki or something like that.
Right.
It's typically a lot more high toned, but the peat, which is only to about, if memory serves, they're peating only to about 20 parts per million, which is pretty low.
That's pretty low, yeah.
Right, but it's coming through here, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Smoked lemon meringue pie on a graham cracker crust.
Nice, wow. Man.
That is a mouthful. The whiskey, not the adjectives.
Man, the power of suggestion. All I'm getting is lemon meringue pie now. Or key lime. No, it's more of a key lime.
Oh, more key lime?
But with that kind of toasted marshmallow topping,
Wow. Yeah, this was really a great lineup. This was a great lineup, and we had
really fun.
Oh yeah,
like non-island like expression of peat.
Yeah,
that's really good, man.
And like I said, we really don't see too many peated expressions coming out of Speyside. So really, if you wanted to try something different, you want to have one of those in your lineup, and it's really good. This is definitely one of those bottles, and really reasonably priced. This one is, I want to say, 115.
Yeah. I mean, you can grab a 25-year-old Ardmore and be very, very happy with it, But this is kind of an ass kicker of peat at a pretty reasonable price, It's good whiskey. It's fun, flashy.
I put some healthy water on that one. But yeah, just a nice, like going back to just a great look at, Altabon distillate, that second fill, ex-bourbon, very light influence here from that. And it's just a great look at the distillate character. Speyside peat.
Really nice. You're gonna take us home with this final paragraph of prose.
Water just making it creamier. That marshmallow cream just coming alive, dancing on the tongue.
A lot of vanilla. A lot of vanilla.
Yeah. If we had a peated, juicy oak and vanilla profile, that would be it. All right. Was 108.64, the chef special. Smoked almonds, pastrami, and a seafood platter were joined by beef jerky and oatmeal on a bed of ash, potpourri, camphor, and cinnamon buns. Nice. Wow. Water, man, I think the water might be helping the finish on that one a little bit. It's really hanging around a little bit more. Ooh.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Nice lineup, man.
So we do have, there were, we mentioned it, the first 7 whiskeys were all that we released for the first part of December here. Really a low outturn. There's only one other bottle.
These 6 and an Aberfeldy. 60.35.
You're good with the numbers. Yep. Bienvenue et la Patisserie is the name of that one. It's a 10-year-old, 60.35. It'll be available for $125. Second fill hogshead is the cask type on it. It's in the spicy and sweet category. So 60.35, 10-year-old, spicy and sweet. So that's the only whiskey. Actually, I said today, available today. Those are all available now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
More available next week and the week
after. Here you go. Good question just came in from Christine Daisy on the Creators Collection. What can you say on that, Tom?
Yeah, there will be a bundle. There will be a 4-bottle bundle, and I think we'll probably follow that up with a 3-bottle bundle. Yeah, I imagine that 29 will sell out pretty quick. So, so you can look forward to that for sure. Let me go create some bundles tomorrow.
Well, you won't do. I would bring up at least one of the individual prices on that on the 33-year-old. Can we talk about the individual prices? Yep.
Sure, man. Go ahead. You want to list them off?
Well, yeah. Sure. There's a 33-year-old in that lineup. It is cask number 53.495. And it's actually cheaper than I thought. $595 for that one.
We've been sharpening our pencils a bit, boys and girls. So you can look forward to some sharper prices here and there. And yes, it is still free shipping on 3 or more bottles. So some good stuff going on.
Yeah,
some good stuff happening next year.
Yep, next year will be some good stuff happening.
And for those of you in the bigger cities that we usually do events in, I'll be going on tour with some fellas out of Boston and Portland for Burns celebration. So Burns night parties for 5 cities. So look for tickets there somewhere around Christmas, either a couple days before or after Christmas Day. And hope to see you there. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool, right. Scott. Is that good? We good?
You betcha. Thanks for joining me, Tom. Thanks to everybody.
Nice, my pleasure.
Yep. And remember, all these whiskeys are available now. Go to SmWSA.com for more information on these and how to become a member if you're not a member. And remember, as we say on the back of every bottle, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society whiskeys are not for swigging, glugging, or knocking back. Please drink responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.